Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing some thoughts on episode 8 of the anime series Kamisama no Inai Nichiyoubi. And I have to say, from the get-go, the last episode really left me wanting as far as being not too thrilled with the tone shift and the seeming direction I thought they were going to be going from, here on out in the series. It was much more lighthearted and bubbly, more typical anime fare. And after all of the really unique and compelling episodes that had preceded it, I really got to feeling fearful, somewhat along the lines of Sword Art Online is a series that I can compare it to where, of course, it's not nearly as lengthy, but you have the first half of the series, which was very compelling, very dramatic, pulled me in, kept me riveted, and then about the halfway point for the rest of the series on, it got light and bubbly, and there was less drama, less compelling aspects to the story, I felt. And I was really, really fearful that was going to happen with this series. I'm very happy to say that the opposite turned out to be the case. They got right back to what has kept me watching this series in this episode with talking about psychological aspects of the mind and talking about, sort of living tropes, following your dreams, having the courage to hold on to them, even in the face of severe adversity, whether that be losing familial ties or growing up with a handicap like blindness, whatever it is, you have the strength to endure it, even though you may not believe it, and you can overcome it. And I love that message between I and the character of Tanya, who is the blind sort of seer. She can hear and feel sounds, and that's her line of sight, like Daredevil from Marvel Comics. And it's just really interesting to me that you have this whole group of teens. They're going to be breaking out of this academy that they're all in lockdown in, and the relationships unfolding in this episode are really, I think, in any case, pinpointed toward Alice and, of course, Tanya. And I just really, it sucked me in, what was basically unfolding, because you have, as I say, on the side between I and Tanya, Tanya doesn't want to leave. She's basically feeling like, she had to leave her family behind because her handicap was making their lives miserable. And of course, there's a bit of a learning curve there that she needs to catch up with. That's not really the case. She really has to find herself. She has to find her own courage and go back to that if she can, or find something and build something new. And this is the message that I gives her essentially. And there's a little bit of arm twisting and trying to drive the point home. But by the end, the point has been driven home, and we see that Tanya's going to be escaping with everyone else, even though she was very reluctant to begin with to do so. And then, of course, you have the confrontations and discussions going on between I and Alice, who is very much, we finally found out what his power is. Essentially, he can always hit his mark. He's got perfect aim. He'll never miss no matter what he does. And it's his idea, kind of like a great supervillain. He believes he wants to save the world. But the way he wants to save the world, whether that's contained to a small community that he, originates from, or the whole world as a whole, essentially is through destruction. And it's like that is one of the best sort of tropes you have with villains, whether it be in, video games, anime, comics. They are villains not because they're evil. It's because they, what they think they're doing is right, but it's actually not. And that's very much what Alice's character proves to be through his words to I. They have similar goals, but, they're going to basically be going separate directions. And it's going to be really interesting to see if they have to come head to head at some point with Alice being a full-on villain. And so by the end, they all make their escape. They just barely get away after the principal lady catches them, but of course Elise gets in the way of her and stops her from stopping them. And essentially you have Yuri finally coming and picking them all up and rescuing them, taking them wherever they're going. But we find out that Scar has been left behind with the baby, from back in Ortis. And so the question is, what is next? I can't wait to find out because this episode pulled me back in, riveted me once again. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this episode if you've seen it. And otherwise, I'll catch you all later. Peace.